I am back with episodes 4 through 6 on Jenn's Bachelorette journey. In this episode, I want to talk about the red flags, the green flags, and I am in my animal print. And don't mistake this for a denim jacket because it's leather. But to follow up, I was right. Jenn got the ick. And let's talk about Sam. Let's talk about our new Bachelor. So much to catch up on. Let's dive in. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back. I'm going to do a little bit of light housekeeping. First off, I just wanted to thank you so much for the lovely messages. I read all of them. I am so happy to be back, to have so many positive messages. I was also on vacation, so I missed episodes 4 and 5, but now I'm back, all caught up. And in this episode, I want to go over 4, 5, 6, just give my overall kind of quick impressions. But we've got some announcements. Grant is our new Bachelor. Like, where did that come from? This announcement felt a little lackluster to me. I didn't know if it was just on the West Coast. But I have heard that they announced it early because they want women to apply if you want to meet Grant. So if you're single, get your application in. All right. But Golden Bachelorette, the commercials are great. And just today, they announced the men. I'll do a reel on that. But I'm going to be launching my other YouTube channel soon. Stay tuned. It's probably going to be 2 weeks away. Okay, let's get to episode 4. We're in Auckland, New Zealand. And Sam M and Devin, who we know are nemesis, they are in the hotel room alone. There's just so much tension. But the date, the one-on-one date with Jenn and Sam, starts in this restaurant. And we think it's going to be fun, kind of playful banter. But now Jenn, poor thing, do you have a fear of heights? I do. And she's been on all of the helicopters, jumping out of planes, and now they want her to jump off a building. It's like, oh my gosh. But the number of times on this date, I'm not a huge Sam fan, right? That he just keeps making mistake after mistake. So, for instance, the waiter comes by, talks about, oh, this is so fun, I just did it. And he says, yep, we're going to do it. And she turns to him and says, Sam, that's a couple's decision to make. And I feel like it is his rose to lose. He just keeps missing it. These are like what we call in therapy empathy failures. He misses the mark. He's not reading the room. For me, this screams like Luke P. Juan Pablo all over. He's just focused on himself. And even in the evening portion, okay, so then Jenn does decide to jump. Good for her because she chose to jump for her, not for Sam. He says things like, well, we all have trauma. And like he's saying the words, but it just doesn't come together for me. I'm going to move on because we got more to say about Sam. And that's my word that just summarizes it. Let's talk about the next group date. The next group date is the rugby date. And this is the sort of badass energy with my badass jacket. And okay, it's rugby, super fun. Rugby is a big sport. I love some of the guys showing up. Grant, Austin, Marcus, all looking fine, very athletic. But Sam N now is pissing everybody off. And why? Because, I don't know, maybe somebody got into his ear and Sam, you got to go for it. Yeah, you told her you love her, but now you got to sort of show her. And I just feel like somehow Sam has gotten like bad coaching and he is coming on too aggressive and the men are not having it. Okay. So, the tackles are fine, one thing, but like Jenn is watching and you can't really fault Sam for being the one to pull her on the field because Jenn loves it. She's like, she would have loved anybody else to come pull her, but unfortunately it's Sam and she's just not feeling it, right? But what I'm enjoying with this date is actually the other men. So Sam comes in with like the trophy and the rugby shirt. I'm Jenn's husband. She's my wife. And too bold, too brazen. He's not reading the room. It feels very young to me. But Jonathan, I really like Jonathan more and more. He calls him on it and says, Sam, here's the thing. We're all here for Jenn, okay? And you aren't doing this for Jenn because Jenn didn't even see this. You're pushing your way through. You're doing all of this with such bravado, and she doesn't even see it. So giving us this, you're here for Jenn, I'm not buying it. I really like that. Now, will Sam go back and reread this and rewatch this? I hope he does, because I'm always hopeful as a therapist that there's going to be some growth. That we get to the men tell all, he'll go back and say, I looked at that and I saw that I was a little bit aggressive because I was anxious. Like, that would be the growth that I would love to see. But it's not working. It's just too much. Now, I'm going to pause for a moment for the fashion. I love the fashion, and I think Jenn looks like the bomb. Great styling this season, by the way. But that orange dress is maybe my favorite on Jenn. Because orange is a hard color to pull off. But like with the cutout, and she just looks beautiful. In the end, Marcus ends up getting the group rose. Good for him. But I really did just want to give a shout out to Jonathan, because I think this is the type of specific feedback. And then Grant says that Sam needs a spanking, which just reminded me of like Noah Erb and the whole baby bottle thing. And then Sam is just so anxious, right? He wants to give her a kiss, and that he interrupts Thomas. Oh my God. Bad, 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 bad. And then Jenn says, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay. But why I'm wearing my jacket is because now Sam's in the limo and he calls it a denim jacket. I'm like, it's a leather jacket, Sam. But we can call this like the walking salmon jacket. I'm sure that the producers gave him the jacket. It's like the coat of arms that he needed to kind of pump him up, but nobody's buying it. So we're going to get rid of the leather jacket. We're done with that. Okay, now let's move on to Devin's one-on-one. I really love, for me, my favorite dates, because I love the travel part, is the culture. We get to see in New Zealand the Maori people. I don't think they pronounced it. I think they said Maori, but fascinating, talking about like the mountains and their traditions and the culture where people are from. And this is what makes travel exciting. This is what makes the show exciting. Devin is smooth, though. He talks about being a wanderer, but the mountains is his mother. Let's pause on that for a moment. I'm like, beautiful metaphors. Devin's never at a loss for words. And this is how Jenn really joins with Devin, because it does feel, compared to like Sam, for instance, it feels so much more personal, right? He says, I see you, I get you, I'm proud of you, I'd want to introduce somebody like you to my mother. He says all the right things. And then you can't just negate the fact that they have all these things in common, like they both adore their mothers, who are the single moms, who really were their non-existent fathers. And I like that for the two of them. And they want to experience this and carry this forward. But I also like the conversations we're having about religion and faith, going to temple. Jenn talking about her Buddhist background. She does that with Devin, but she also does that with Jeremy. We'll get to that in a little bit. And those are great conversations. We've had these in other seasons, but it's always just so refreshing that someone wants to continue that and is openly talking about it. Episode 4, it leaves us on a cliffhanger. Last time we were told that, somebody's coming from Jenn's past. We don't know who it is. I thought it might be Aaron, the pilot. Turns out it's Matt. I kind of like this, right? This random stranger from her past. But we're all like, no, he doesn't have a chance, right? Is Matt really here for the right reasons? I don't know. It feels like he's here to get on TV. What's really hard is that in dating, I would say never go through the trash. What do I mean by that? Well, you had a chance with this person. Like, lots of people, by the way, break up, get back together with an ex. On average, sometimes it's like 7 times, believe it or not. But it doesn't take you that long to try to remember why we didn't work in the first place, because if the feelings were there, they would have been there. So it's left on a cliffhanger because we don't get the cocktail party. And of course, now we're in episode 5. And cue the music when they say, like, the first ever non-dramatic cocktail party, and here shows up Matt, right? Cue and Matt from the side. But overall, this is just no big deal, right? It's a small storyline. And I like, again, that Jenn's just sassy. She doesn't miss a beat. Hey, Matt, are you ready to get engaged? She doubts it, right? She sees through all of this, and she also knows that it would come, if she was still harboring feelings, she might have said yes, but she knew that it would come at great expense to the other men. And I like that she wants to protect her men, right? And not create that stress because it's not going to be worth it. And she's not going to end up keeping Matt. So good riddance. Okay. I thought it was weird that he had to go back and tell the group, but he kind of apologizes. I'm okay with that. Great. All right. Let's move on. Jonathan. I really like Jonathan. I do. Again, he came with the bandages. I feel like he's got some cute videos online. Jonathan gets the helicopter date, the vineyard date. Will you accept this grape? It looks like a gherkin. It doesn't look like a grape. They're in a hot tub. Um, I feel like it's a little bit more brother sister kind of vibes. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. She's trying hard to connect with him on a deeper level. She's saying all the right things too, like, you have multiple layers, you're very intuitive, let's peel that back. We get a little further in the evening date where he's talking about this toxic relationship. And I do love that Jenn has a story for everything. Like, she's been, a PA. She's heard a lot of these things. She herself had a toxic relationship. She can relate. So a lot of the men feel very comfortable with Jenn. And that's to Jenn's credit because she's really good at making people comfortable. And then the rain pouring, I'm like, do we buy this? Or is this an intern with a sprinkler? I don't know. Okay. It felt a little out of context for me. Now let's get to the group date in episode 5. This is where the men literally get a pair of scissors on their way to the date and cut off their plaid shirts, and the sheep steal the show. Okay. I love the sheep. Like, that was my favorite moment when they're all jumping up and down and you see them, and the landowner is like, get the heck off my land. I'm on this dumb show. I don't know how much they had to pay him. But we start to see some drama brewing here, right? Like, Austin is not being chosen. He is feeling like he's falling behind, and he is. That's just the truth. He can't play catch up. So how we leave this episode is, the question is, wait a minute, Jenn. Okay, you didn't give Austin the time of day, but now all of a sudden he's leaving and you're not feeling worthy. You're not feeling good enough. Like, which is it, right? Like, Jenn, you weren't that interested in him, so why give him all of that? But here's what I think. It happens every episode. You're the lead, you're making all the decisions, and at some point someone decides to make the decision for you. And you have that moment where you get a little bit anxious and you fast forward that ahead and think, oh my God, what if this is my final person? What if my final person at the altar when it matters, and I will be the first ever person to be 100% horrified at the altar where they've said no and I've lost everything. Okay. That's what this metaphor is about. I don't really think it's about Austin. I don't really think it's about not feeling good. It's just about like the power switch up. But here's the thing. Jenn's not that heartbroken over Austin. She's not canceling dates. She's not saying I can't carry on. She's not. She's using it as a moment for an opportunity for vulnerability. And I love that. Because here's the thing. When the lead can be vulnerable and share their feelings, everybody else sets the tone and they get more vulnerable too. So all the goodness that comes out of this is because of those sharing. So let's get to Grant. Now, Grant, because he's going to be our next Bachelor, I'm paying close attention. I go back and I reread this. He is smooth. Grant, he came out of the limo doing his little dance. He was in the striptease show. Grant, I think, is really lovely. Let's face it, he's tall, beautiful, his hair, the tats, the earrings, really like Grant. And he has like the right words, right? He says things like it's perfectly imperfect because it was raining on their date. They're riding horses. I just think he's going to be an impressive Bachelor. And here's what I really love is the evening portion of their date, right? This is where they get deep. He's talking about his father who has addiction issues. I'm assuming that's alcoholism. Oh yes, he said alcoholism. And but he also is really keen on holding somebody accountable. Like, Dad, I don't want to hear any excuses, blaming the job. This is on you. Good for Grant. This is bold. This takes courage to say that to a parent. And then his dad checks into rehab. Love that. And Jenn, again, doesn't skip a beat, talks about, understanding this from a medical perspective, also how hard it must have been for Grant. Lovely interaction between these two. I'm watching that. Lovely. Now we're in episode 6, back in the United States. And what's interesting to me is, they must have had a big budget, right? We had some other seasons where they don't get to travel at all. They've been traveling the whole time. But the cities that are sponsoring the show end up putting a lot of money into this. And I don't know about you, but this first date, the Wicked date, to me fell flat. I did a poll on Instagram, and you agree with me because 71% of you said you're not feeling it, like I wasn't. Um, and it's an interesting choice. She chooses Marcus. Why? Because she likes Marcus, and now we're getting serious because we're going down to hometowns, right? And she likes Marcus, but there's something that's not coming together. I get it, but I'm only imagining how the men, right, who haven't gotten dates, that's, Spencer, um, Grant just had a date, Jeremy, how they're feeling, okay, because he's got his second one-on-one. The date, I loved my girl Charity. I love Kelsey. I love Daisy. But the tests, weird. Okay, the yellow brick road on the grass, weird. Isn't quite doing it for me. But here's the thing, Marcus does not skip a beat. It is in the evening portion. And by this point, we've heard sad stories, right? We have heard it all. This one really gets me as a therapist because what is a bigger abandonment than your parents dropping you off at daycare and not coming to pick you up? I mean, I just can't imagine a bigger abandonment wound than that. Like, how that's going to impact you in all your relationships. Wow, such credit to Marcus. He's vulnerable. He shares his story. So much makes sense after this, but these are just hard to hear. All right, now we get into the radio portion of this date. Another weird date, right? Sam is in the radio portion of it. And what is the main thing? Okay, I'm sorry. Is the main thing misogyny? Is the main thing that Sam should stay single forever? I don't know. It's just weird. But the amount of errors is just, I'm like, check, 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 check. I've lost track. Okay. So he says, mouth drop, I thought it was going to be Daisy or Maria when I came out of the limo. And oh boy, wow. I mean, Molly's mouth is a gap. My mouth is a gap. Again, it's just going from bad to worse. Okay. Why people are asking, why did Jenn keep Sam so long? But let's put this in perspective, right? Most of the time, the person that you give your first impression rose, that means something, because you're attracted to them. Usually people keep them around till fantasy suites. Sometimes, Xavier made it. Even Charity, your therapist, made it to that point. So it's tough. Okay. We're going to come back to Sam. Let's talk about Jeremy. I loved Jeremy. Jeremy was a sleeper. But Jeremy was also, remember, on the group car date, right? He stopped the car, pulled her over to kiss her. I love that. Jeremy's got some swag. He is a confident guy. He's very sure about who he is. He has a Jewish mother. She was overbearing as hell, as he says, but she's one of the nicest people. He's open, he's comfortable, as a lot of Jewish men are, talking about their faith, but also talking about their emotions. And he says, I don't expect you to convert. My two exes were Catholic. Jenn asks a lot of good follow-up questions. Now we have a lovely conversation about race. We have a lovely conversation about faith, about identity, Jewish identity, what's happening. Jenn has Jewish friends. She's saying she's really open, but she's Buddhist. And this is important to her, going to her temple and her faith and those teachings. And she wants her mother to be involved. And so what's lovely is Jenn talks about that she wants to feel seen, and he makes her feel seen. He is listening carefully. They're talking about their hopeful future, about Jewish Buddhist kids, and with some fun. And I love this. She knows the Yiddish terms, mishpacha. Is that how you say it? I can't even pronounce it. I love that Jenn even knew that. Great date. Okay, you're like, yeah, he's going hometowns. Now, before we get to the rose ceremony, Jenn has some unfinished business, right? She's got to talk to Sam. Why? I don't know. But she just needs to check the boxes. So she gives him yet another chance. And she wants to come back and say you love me, but what? Huh? What? Tell me. I'm confused. Why? How? Where? And he is like a word salad. I mean, he wants to, before he went in to kiss her, that was awkward. It's like he doesn't have the words. But this is what I love about The Bachelorette. The growth that Jenn has when she's saying, if this happened a year ago, I wouldn't be where I am now. This is why I love the show, because now you've got 20 men, 24 men, vying for your affection and attention. What you would have put up with before, you will no longer put up with, because here's what we know about love. If I have a parent who's unavailable, I know that working hard is what feels like love. I'm trying so hard as a kid. Notice me, Dad. Notice me, notice me, notice me. So I work hard in relationships. But now I'm sitting back and these men are coming forward and working hard to show me. I suddenly raise my level. I raise my bar. And all of a sudden I'm like, no, won't put up with that anymore. That's what's happening for Jenn. And I love to see it. She's not tearful. She's not, why can't he see me? She's like, I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. I don't like it. You're done. She discards him. He's out. I'm like, yes, Jenn, this is the growth. This is what we're talking about. And then Sam, in perfect, I'm going to call it narcissist fashion. I don't know. I really don't. I'm just using that word. I know I don't like to use it loosely, but in the way that he's projecting, 1 minute he loves her and now she's dull. What could have been a green flag, Sam, is you say, I'm going to regret this the rest of my life. I wasn't paying attention to her. I lost a great girl. I'm not good at these things. I'm going to work on it. He didn't say that. Instead, he blamed her and then said, I don't want you anyway. Discarded her, right? He discarded her. Like, oh, well, she's dull. I don't want to be with her anyway. Such a classic move, and I'm so glad we're done with that. Okay. So now we're back to our final four hometowns. Love hometowns. Jeremy, Jonathan, Marcus, Devin. These guys are growing on me. We have to say goodbye to Grant. We have to say goodbye to Spencer. Spencer calling his mom was just so sweet. But so excited. All right. So my summary of all of this is I love the growth that we're seeing with Jenn. She is not getting overwhelmed. She's got a good head on her shoulders. I'm hoping all the things that she's looking for in the men are there. Hometowns are one of my favorite. We're going to see Marcus's sister, Jeremy, Jonathan, Devin, all their families. This is what I live for. But I just want to give a big trophy to my girl Jenn. I think she nailed it at the end of the season. We get there eventually. And I want to know, what was your favorite moment? I know I covered a lot, 3 episodes. Let me know what your thoughts are. Like, who do you think the final person's going to be? All right. And that's it for now. More soon.